Hey guys, it's Hill with Primal Pillars bringing you the latest training tip to help you dominate your life. I've been a strength coach for many years and helped a ton of women learn to love lifting weights and love their bodies without obsessing over diets or the scale. So if that sounds like your cup of tea and you're new here, consider subscribing. Today I want to share with you 3 exercises that you can start doing right now to help improve your squat form. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Number 1 is pause squats. Pause squats are where you come all the way into the bottom of the squat, then hold. Usually holding for a 2 count is a good place to start. I love these because they get you really comfortable with hitting depth. A lot of people out there are not necessarily hitting full squat depth, and if your goal is not to be a competitive powerlifter, that's not necessarily a huge deal, although I would prefer that you are hitting at least parallel, even if you're not breaking parallel. And the reason for that is it's just going to give you better muscle development around your hips and around your knees. When you do pause squats, focus first on holding a good braced position with your core, and secondly, on keeping your muscles engaged in this position. You don't want to sink too low into the bottom of the squat, which can lead you to going relaxed. This will make it really hard to get back up out of the squat. If you keep this tension through your quads, glutes, and abs, you will have a lot more power coming out of the hole. Pause squats not only get you really good and comfortable at being in the hole, we say, meaning like in the bottom of the squat, but they also get you really good at getting strong power coming back up out of the hole. So getting really good force and contraction driving hard out of the bottom of the squat. This is the most vulnerable position on the squat for most people, so training to drive hard out of the bottom will take you a long way towards improving your squat. Kettlebell King squats. King squats are an exercise that in essence breaks the squat down into 2 pieces, the hip hinge and the knee bend. I love this exercise because it helps you understand the separation between hinging in the hips and bending in the knees. So I find that when you separate this out, like in the King squat, it just helps you get a good understanding of the movement pattern in the squat and kind of where, when you're training with a barbell, where the bar path is. In the first part, when you hinge your hips back, this part of the exercise is like a good morning. So your weight should be really in your heels and you should feel a big stretch through the hamstrings and glutes. And then the second part of this movement is bending your knees to get to the bottom of your squat. Bend the knees and drop into a controlled squat position. Then reverse from where you came. So from there, push your knees back, your hips will be nice and high, and then push your hips forward again to get to the top. Do these slowly and keep an eye on where your balance is and your feet and where the kettlebell is stacked. So when you go back into your squat, it's kind of like doing these 2 parts simultaneously, hinging in the hips and bending in the knees. If this is making sense to you and you're liking this sort of instruction, go ahead and hit that like button and tell me in the comments, what is your biggest struggle with squat technique? Number 3 is dead bug. Now you might find this an odd one to include in a squat training video, but if you're not able to keep a braced core and a neutral spine lying on the ground with no weight on your body, do you really think you're going to be able to keep that braced core, neutral spine under a 200+ pound load under a barbell? So when you think about doing a squat, you're keeping pressure in your abdomen to keep that neutral spine and keep your spine protected while you're moving in the hips. So a dead bug is actually really good practice for training this. It's going to highlight the muscles that you use in your abdominals to keep that braced core position while under load during the squat. To do these successfully, lying on your back, press your lower back into the floor. There should be no movement in your spine as you stretch your arm and opposite leg away from each other. Then back to center. This makes a great exercise to do as a core activation drill as well. And what I mean by activation is that it's something that you put in your warm-up or before you do your main heavy lifts that kind of cues you into tuning, like fine-tuning and turning on the muscles that you're going to be using during your lift. So for example, if you have a weakness keeping your core braced, this will sort of like fire those muscles that you'll need to use for your squat, so that when you go squat, you're already going to be aware of those muscles that you need to use. If you jived with this sort of video today, consider subscribing and make sure to hit that like button or leave a comment telling me the biggest struggle that you find improving your squat form.